You talked about that in your annual letter to shareholders,
Yes.
infrastructure and how important it is. You also talked about the priority that you see as the biggest issue for investors, and that is retirement planning.
Yes.
They don't have enough money.
Correct.
Let me get your take on what's going on with markets right here, because the expectations are high. They want tax reform, they want something done on health care, and they're also expecting infrastructure. Big success story at iShares and BlackRock. Since acquiring the iShares franchise more than 7 years ago, you've grown AUM from $385 billion to $1.3 trillion. That's only the ETF business, and you're up to $5.4 trillion in AUM overall.
And now $1.4 trillion in ETFs.
In ETFs. So what are you feeling about investors right now? Is this a vulnerable moment in time, or should we be nervous that we don't see tax reform yet?
Obviously, in every market there's cross currents. What we talked about last year, at the end of last year, was there was a wall of money. So some of that wall of money has been put to work. You have insurance companies that were sitting on huge pools of cash. You have pension funds that were sitting on cash, sovereign wealth funds. So we saw a great deal of that money being put to work, but that was only a drop. If you compare different markets, the U.S. market is probably priced for perfection versus Europe and Asia. At this time, Asian equities represent more value than the U.S. Does that mean we have a setback in our market? Maybe, maybe not. What I'm pleased so far is our earnings, like we just had GE announce. Yeah. Our earnings are validating some of these higher valuations. So if we continue to see during this earnings season higher, more success in terms of earnings, then maybe our valuations are not as extreme. Our valuations are also extreme with the expectations, as you suggested, that we are going to have tax reform and deregulation. I believe this is going to take somewhat longer time, but we all should hope that we're going to get some success out of the administration to validate the marketplace. So if somebody asked me, could we see a 5 or 10% retrenchment in our equity markets over a period of time, I would say absolutely. I would also then say buy, buy, buy. But
is it all hinging on this tax reform package that people are expecting? If we don't get tax reform in 2017, would you expect a big sell-off?
It really goes into the tonality of what caused the delay and how certain do you think something can happen.
So there's a lot of nuance there.
There's a lot of nuance. But I would also say in the short run, let's see what earnings season brings to us. If earnings continue to be like what GE announced and what Blackstone announced and other firms announced and BlackRock, maybe the stock market is fairly priced. But to have the next leg up, we have to have some of the performance out of Washington.
Right, for sure. That's what we're all waiting for. You've instituted technology within the way you operate at BlackRock. Tell us about Aladdin. Tell us what you're trying to do with robotics as it relates to picking stocks.
Well, Aladdin is a system that we started when we founded the company 29 years ago. It has grown and grown. It is a risk management system. It is a system that is really it's the architecture of our firm, so it's front, middle, and back end. We offer that technology to many investors worldwide. It is the most sought-after technology that.
What does it do?
Well, it analyzes your portfolio. It provides you with a lot of flexibility what models to use so you can determine your risk. 2, it communicates with your in terms of ticket writing to your custodian. It can be organized. It goes through your general ledger, so you have a constant understanding of your P&L. It determines your cash every day. I mean, obviously, you're sitting with cash. Well, how do you invest in it? And as you move around different portfolio moves, it actually allows you to tell you what your risk is. Really
interesting to see technology and the way it's being used in the financial services industry.
As I said, but it's growing 12+% a year. Many of the finest asset managers are using it. Many of the large countries and banks are using it.
Larry, great to see you today.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much. Larry Fink is Chairman and CEO at BlackRock.